Good evening, we're back. It's week 5 and we're inside this week because it's absolutely freezing cold and pitch black, as you can see from the prison bars that we're located inside of at the minute over here. So let's crack on. First things first, Walsall versus Peterborough, last game, or last recognised game for a lot of fans. Ended up drawing 1-1. Should have lost after looking at the replays of the offside that we had given against Peterborough. But start with you, James. What are your thoughts on that game?
Like I said in the fan cam, it was just negative. It was pretty boring apart from the two goals. It was not the greatest performances to respond after Rotherham. But, you know, for Whitney, it keeps him in a job for probably another month. And that's what Whitney wants. So,
excuse me.
Not maybe what we want.
Alright, and you had a chance to have a look at the offside that was given. What have you made of that?
Well, it's onside. We're lucky. We said when the referee went over the linesman, it was onside. We were surprised it was given. And it's lucky because that probably maybe would have been the game that could have possibly got Whitney the sack.
Okay, fair enough. And were there any standout performers? Obviously, Ozturma got man of the match against his old team. Any standout performers and any underperformers that stood out really?
The centre backs I thought did really well. Did what they didn't do against Rotherham, which was just get the ball up the pitch, not to mess about with it. I think underperformers, no one really underperformed that massively. It was just Leahy again. It's just not defending like it should be for a left back. We said it before. He needs to work on it because he's going to get aimed at like they did at Rotherham.
Well, fantastic. Dylan, have you got anything else that you want to add on to what James said about Saturday? Thoughts?
He's been pretty bang on. Clean sheets are obviously a problem. You know, we go on about our defence at the minute, how it's so good, but we're struggling to keep a clean sheet. I can't remember the last time we kept a clean sheet. You know, everyone was expecting a response after Rotherham, shocking display. But it's so obvious that Whitney went out there. Just don't lose the peak. But yeah, they're a good side and arguably should have won after that offside goal. But you know, Whitney sent them out to get that draw. He won his mortgages on the line, as everyone says. But everyone expected a bigger response. Everyone wanted to win. I think we could have won it if we would have actually gone attacking. Standout performers, you know, it was a pretty boring game to watch, to be honest. Ozturma played alright, a lot better than he did at Rotherham. He was shocking at Rotherham, and I don't think he played fantastically well at Bristol as well. So Ozturma is getting back to his normal self. I'll echo what James said about Lee. He's causing a few problems, being a bit more up the pitch than defensive, but I think, to be honest, Whitney's brought him in as an attacking fullback. But disappointing. We all wanted to win. We could have got the win, and Whitney sent them out for the draw.
And finally, Kev, anything else you want to add on top of these pair?
I don't think it gives me much to add on top. I just couldn't believe that when the second half we went to 5-4-1 when he brought Morris on. I got bored on Saturday, and I don't get bored at games very often. I said to James on Saturday, like, I was nodding off second half. It was that bad. When we went 5-4-1, shut up shop, and we didn't go for it. Like the guy said, Peterborough weren't the worst team that we're going to play this season, but they were definitely there for the taking. And we just sat back, and we didn't even go for it. And I'll agree with what these guys said. It was more about John Whitney on Saturday, not to lose the game, to put more pressure on him for getting the sack, rather than doing what was right for Walsall in the league, and that was going for the win and pushing us further up the league. But no, it was a disappointing game on Saturday.
Alright, fantastic. And I think I saw a stat, might have been before Saturday, but Saturday was his 75th game in charge. So looking back over the 75 games as a whole, how do you think it's gone? So I'll ask you first, Dylan.
It's gone backwards. You know, we've gone from Dean Smith to the 5-year plan, and we haven't progressed at all with Whitney being the manager. When you bring in a manager, you expect the manager to bring new things and go forward, but how long have we been in League One now? 11 years, and we're not showing any signs of going back up. Yeah, when Whitney was first in charge, we had the playoff push, and unfortunately we lost a lot of players due to not actually going up. But we're a mid-table side, and there's no progression at all. And if a manager's been in charge for so long and there's been no progression, then it's just not a good sign at all. And go back to the old cookie, he's not a manager, he's a physio. I don't need to say he's not the right man for the job, but I don't know how he's managed 75 games at all.
Does it safe to say he's not the right man for the job then?
No.
Cheers, Dylan. James, 75 games of John Whitney's management. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, just like Dylan said, we've gone backwards. Have we gone backwards from last season? Probably. It's just where he took us when he took the job. You know, there's no way a manager could get away. We've gone from being in the playoffs to being bottom half of the table. You know, I don't think there is a club in this league that probably would have kept the manager on, but we're stupid enough to give an inexperienced manager a 3-year deal. I don't think anyone can say that was justified, because the team that he did get us in the playoffs, that wasn't his team. That was all Dean Smith's doing.
Okay, and Kev, 75 games under John Whitney. There's been some memorable performances, maybe for the wrong reasons at sometimes, but are there any games out of that 75 that stand out for you? And as a whole, how's it been?
To be honest, if I was to pick the most standout game was when we dicked Sheffield United at Bescott. That was probably the standout game for John Whitney. But then when you look at the other side of the coin, getting dicked at Rochdale, getting dicked at Bradford before the playoffs, obviously getting dicked at Rotherham the other night as well. It just seems to happen quite a lot. But I'm gonna throw a bit of positive spin on it for once. Since Whitney's come in, we have actually had a decent calibre of players coming in. Look at Jason McCarthy, Scott Laird, Ostuma. He certainly knows how to pick a player. He just can't get them to play well together, and I think that's his downfall. But I'd probably say his biggest downfall is not getting an experienced number 2 in. He's relied on Ian Sharps. Still don't know what he does at this club. You got John Ward, where he's specialising with the youth team. But that'll be Whitney's biggest downfall in his tenure as a manager, and that'll be not getting an experienced number 2. But I don't think he should have been here 75 games in.
How many games do you reckon he's got left? Do you want to see him make 100?
If, like I said last week, I'd get rid of him now, because we're not improving, we're not moving forward as a team. We've got no plan, no forward thinking. But he's a nice guy, and I think everyone just keeps going back to that. No one wants to see him fail. Everyone wants to see him succeed, and it'd be the perfect fairy tale story if John Whitney was to succeed at Walsall, given how long he's been at the club. But I'd get rid of him today.
Okay, and one final question on that subject. It's never going to happen because it would undermine whoever came in, but if Whitney did get sacked but was given his old job as kind of head of physio or whatever you want to deem it as back, would you demote him back into that role and take that?
Oh yeah, definitely. He's probably one of the best fitness coaches in the Football League. Look at what he's done with some of the players that have came into the club injured, not played many games, and then they're playing 2-3 years on the trot. He's one of the best fitness coaches in the league. So if he wanted the job back, I'd give it him back.
Dylan?
Yeah. He's a loyal servant. He's been at the club a while. Would he take the job? No. I'd happily give him the old physio job back. I'll say what Kev said. He's one of the best in the Football League. But he's spent 75 games as a manager. He's going to be a manager. I think if he was to go, he'd jump straight into another job as well. Whether it be League 2 or Conference. I don't think he's a League 1 manager. I don't really think he's a League 2 manager either. But I could see him getting offered managerial jobs when he leaves. But I'd happily take him back as a physio.
And finally, James.
Yeah, it's the same as they said. You know, we all know he's a top class fitness coach, but he's not a top class manager, and that's the difference. If we could get him to have that job back, then brilliant. Because you know we've all said we're love him to succeed, and you know he is a nice guy. He's a really good servant to the club, but he's just not a manager, and that's the end to that. And you know, if he certainly isn't a League One manager, but you know he'll never take that job back. He's gone 75 games into management now. He can't take that step back. He's got to be a manager now, but you know he'll have to probably drop down 2 leagues if he did get sacked.
Okay, fantastic. Well, always nice to end with a little bit of a positive for John Whitney. Alright, so moving on, we've got 2 games before the next recording. We've got Oxford away on Saturday, the dreaded away games, and who else have we got? Charlton at home on Tuesday. Charlton who lost to Gillingham somehow. So yeah, we've got 2 games. I think everybody's possibly expecting a loss on Saturday, just based on our away form. But talking about Charlton as well, they were one of the favourites at the start of the season. Obviously lost to Gillingham last time out, I think, somehow. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the 2 games, and how many points do you reckon we're going to get out of the 2? So start with you, Kev.
I'm dreading it, if I'm honest.
Looking forward to the beer at Oxford, though.
Yeah, that's the only positive. Oxford, they're a little bit shaky on the road, but at home they're flying. They beat Gillingham 3-0 a couple of weeks ago. They didn't score till the second half, but apparently once they did finally score, they just ripped Gillingham to pieces.
Scored 3 in 8 minutes, I think.
Yeah, and I do worry the same for us. I think as soon as we concede a goal against Oxford, you could see 2, 3, 4 flying, and we could have the same situation as Rotherham.
That'll be fun.
Charlton at home. I don't know how true this is, but apparently Charlton are one of our bogey teams, and we don't tend to do well against Charlton. So I can't see us getting anything from the next 2 games. I think it's 0 points and pressure on Mr. Whitney.
Score lines, if you were going to be pushed for giving them. Are we going to score any goals?
I'm going to go Oxford 3, Walsall 0, and I'm going to go Walsall 1, Charlton 2.
Cool. Dylan, talk to me about the 2 games.
No points. We're not gonna win either of them. You know, it's a tough run of games. We've got some tough games after Charlton, but I don't think we're going to win it all. Oxford are a very good side. They've got that new manager. I can't remember his name is. I think that's the one. He's done really well at home under Oxford. As Kev said, they demolished Gillingham in the second half of their game.
Why are you smiling so happily at that?
But no, it's going to be tough on Oxford. To be honest, it says a lot as a fan when I'm looking forward to the beer more than the actual game. I'm not looking forward to the game at all. I can't see us being the better side at all. I'm looking forward to the day out more. If I was to give a scoreline for Oxford, I'm going to go 4-1 to Oxford.
Okay.
Charlton, we're a lot better at home than we are on the road. But Charlton are a really good team. The former MK Dons manager, I can't remember what his name is. Carl White. Can you get off your phone, please, Chief?
I'm sorry, Chief.
Carl Robinson, he was just checking his bet.
Carl Robinson.
He was making sure that Man United had put 4 past Burton already. Carl Robinson's who you're talking about.
Yeah, Carl Robinson.
Who's Carl Wright?
I couldn't remember his name, but Carl Robinson, you know, he did really well with MK Dons getting them up and then lost his job. But no, it's going to be easier for us to get points against Charlton than it is Oxford. To be honest, it wouldn't really shock me if we got embarrassed at Oxford and then got a point against Charlton and then we're back to square one again, as we always are. But if I was a betting man, which I am, I'd say no points out of 2 games.
Finally, James, are we going to get any points? Are you going to put a bit of positivity into this or not?
Probably max a point.
Superb. Talk to me.
Definitely lose against Oxford.
Score?
4-1.
Copy.
Shut up. Peterborough, you know, as like Dylan said, we'll probably set up the same as Charlton. We'll probably set up the same as we did against Peterborough. Negative, probably 4-5-1, whatever Whitney decides to magically come up with.
It was 5-4-1 on Saturday, wasn't it? When
So
superb home formation, that is.
you know, whether he'll go the same against Oxford, probably another thing. I mean, he's got to change something away. He's got to change the formation, people he plays and where they play. He's got to change something because we're probably a month or two away from going a year without a winner away. Ridiculous.
It is a little bit, yeah.
So, you know, he hasn't changed anything since all through that, and, you know, it's just a question of how can you not change anything when it's clearly not working.
And what about Tuesday? Are we going to get any points there? What's your score prediction for Charlton Athletic?
I mean, if we get hammered against Oxford, we'll probably settle negatively and probably grab a point like we did against Peterborough. Probably be a boring game. I think I said Charlton were going to finish second in the league at the start, and they're doing pretty good. So
Got Ricky Holmes.
yeah, what a player he is as well. They've got some really good players in that team, and you know, I think Peterborough probably only had Madison. Charlton have probably 3 or 4 players that could easily just tear our defence apart, especially if they know how weakly he is, and as the Rotherham did, aim for him.
Alright, fantastic. So, room for a very productive few days from the looks of it. We're not going to move anywhere near going up the table, that's for sure, based on you lot. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens for next week. Right, so moving on to in the news, there hasn't really been a lot this week. Obviously, we've had a Checker Trade Trophy game, which not a lot of people went to or care about, but just briefly skimming over that, we won 3-1. Kieran Morris at the bar could have been 4. We actually went in 1-0 down at half time to a first year Scholars strike for West Brom. And that's that. So we'll move on to Sadler's Showdown. Week 3 is it, I think, of that? Yeah. So at the minute, Kev's winning 2-0 against these guys. If Liam ever does turn back up, he'll have to stay on 0 as well. So he's on 0 too. Format today, there's going to be 2 separate quizzes followed by a bonus challenge, which will be revealed later on. So first kind of section, first bit of the quiz, got a few questions here from football 2016-17. Yeah, so I'll ask you a couple of questions. You can just give me the answers on the paper. You've obviously got to write the questions out. We'll mark each other's papers at the end of it, and then we'll do the second part and so on, and then we'll go to the bonus round, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so question 1 then this week is, who opened the scoring when Arsenal beat Chelsea 3-0 at the Emirates in September 2016? And I'm going to give you 10 or 15 seconds on each one, then I'm just going to move on.
Chelsea won.
Read it again.
Who opened the scoring when Arsenal beat Chelsea 3-0 at the Emirates in September 16? Second question, in the return fixture at Stamford Bridge, which player scored a solo goal in two-double, that should be, Chelsea's lead in their eventual 3-1 win? Next question. Which Liverpool player scored a penalty at Old Trafford during their 1-1 draw with Manchester United in January 2017? Next. Which player scored a free kick as Liverpool beat Arsenal 4-3 at the Emirates on the opening day of the 16-17 season?
Say that again.
Which player scored a free kick as Liverpool beat Arsenal 4-3 at the Emirates on the opening day of the 2016-2017 season? James is looking perplexed. Kev's looking cool and collected.
Just guessing.
Dylan's looking at his shoes. Next one. Chelsea's title win was confirmed with a 1-0 win away at which club? Good answers there, James. Can see all of them. Right, next one. I just need a number for this one, but I'll give you the three options. So, how many points ahead of Arsenal did Liverpool finish? Was it 1, 2, or 3? We've got 2 more questions on this. So, next one. Paul Pogba scored his first goal for Manchester United following his return from Juventus against which club? So, was it Burnley, Stoke City, or Leicester City?
What was the second one?
Stoke.
What was the first one?
Burnley. Do you want the third one as well? That was Leicester. Burnley, Stoke, or Leicester. And then finally, for this part, bit of a mouthful, but what was the score when Manchester United hosted Manchester City in the first Manchester derby of Pep Guardiola's reign? Was it a 1-1 draw, a 2-1 away win for Man City, or a 1-0 home win for Manchester United? So just put the score in the team.
I've winned all of that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think I've got that. Right.
Right, that one we will quickly mark now, so just switch your papers around. Otherwise it's going to get confusing because I've got to draw another set of questions up in a minute. So, first question was, who opened the scoring when Arsenal beat Chelsea 3-0 at the Emirates in September 2016? Answer was Alexis Sanchez.
What?
I'm just looking at your answer, Dylan. You've put Hazard.
Yeah, it could have been in the game.
Who opened...
For
true.
Arsenal.
No, he
No, it says when Arsenal. I thought that was wrong as well, so I'm a dunce, pull a hat on. Dylan wins, I'll lose. Second one, although this is quite hilarious, because you've obviously got them the wrong way around looking at these answers. In the return fixture at Stamford Bridge, which player scored a solo goal in 2 double Chelsea's lead in their eventual 3-1 win? The answer was Eden Hazard.
Cahill scoring a solo.
Who put that? Yes. Kev with Gary Cahill.
Scott Dan did it.
Yeah, he's now Gary Cahill's now Scott Dan. Third, which Liverpool player scored a penalty at Old Trafford during the 1-1 draw with Manchester United in January 17? Answer was James Milner.
Forgot he took penalties.
Next one, which player scored a free kick as Liverpool beat Arsenal 4-3 at the Emirates on the opening day of the 16-17 season? Answer was Philippe Coutinho. Next one, Chelsea's title win was confirmed with a 1-0 away win at which club? Answer was West Brom. How many points ahead of Arsenal did Liverpool finish? Answer was 1. Can see Kev Xing of all the answers here. Don't think you're doing too well, Dylan. Next one, Paul Pogba scored his first goal for United following his return from Juventus against Leicester City. And the score when Manchester United hosted Manchester City in the first Manchester derby of Pep Guardiola's reign was a 2-1 away win for Manchester City. So at the end of that round, Dylan, I can see off Kev's scoring, has got 1. Dylan, you've got...
James has got 2.
James has got 2 and Kev has got 2. Superb scoring in the first round. So we'll briefly cut off while I get another set of questions up, and as Stephen Gerrard once said, we go again. Right, so we're back for part 2 of the quiz. So same again, I'll ask the questions, write your answers down, we'll switch over and we'll mark. So this is apparently the Monday morning sports quiz, live on a Wednesday evening. So question 1 on this one is, which championship club, football club, have parted company with Harry Redknapp following a disappointing start to their season? If you get that wrong, get out. Second question, and this isn't just football related, so it's all sports. What was the result of boxing's much anticipated world middleweight title fight between Gennady Triple G Golovkin and Saul Canelo Alvarez in Las Vegas on Saturday night? Was it a Golovkin win, a draw, or an Alvarez win? Third question, Chris Gale and Evan Lewis were both in the runs as England lost the T20 International against which country at Chester Street this weekend? Dylan doesn't know any other country other than England from the look of his face. Maybe just James, actually.
Cricket's like the last sport I'd ever watch.
Slanders.
Rubbish.
Next one. And I wouldn't know the answer to this without looking at this quiz. But Saracens beat Newcastle Falcons in the second Aviva Premiership Rugby Union game to be staged in which country? Was it the USA, Australia, or Qatar? I didn't even know this had happened, to be
What was
honest.
the second one?
USA, Australia, or Qatar? Next. Ridden by Ryan Moore and trained by Aidan O'Brien, Capri won which horse race billed as the world's oldest classic at Doncaster? There's no options, you've got to pick a name out of the air for this one. I'll read it again. So, ridden by Ryan Moore and trained by Aidan O'Brien, Capri won which horse race billed as the world's oldest classic at Doncaster? It was mentioned at Rotherham on Tuesday night by Asps, possibly. Next question. Footballers from which country have offered to pay their female counterparts salaries following a pay dispute with their National Football Association? Again, Dylan struggling on that one.
Say that again.
Footballers from which country have offered to pay their female counterparts salaries following a pay dispute with their with which National Football Association? I messed that one up. So basically, which football association's male players have offered to pay the female players' salaries?
Oh, I heard about this in the news.
Of course you did.
I actually did.
Of course you did.
Time's up, in my opinion.
I'll move it. Dock you some points in a minute here, Chief. Alright, next one. Anna Carrasco has become the first female to win a world championship race in which sport? Is it canoe, skateboard, or motorbikes? Anna Carrasco. Anna with one N, in case you're interested.
What was the question?
Dear me. Anna Carrasco has become the first female to win a world championship race in which sport? Canoe, skateboard, and motorbikes. And I'm moving on. So, who won this weekend's Singapore Grand Prix?
I watched that.
Well, you better get it right then, haven't you? And then we're going to a couple more questions.
Space. That's alright.
Well, there's more than a couple. Right, so he has a very particular set of skills, but which Ballymena-born actor has announced he's retiring from making action movies? James looks like he's never watched an action movie in his life. Which we all know is fake news. Next question. Hope Hicks has replaced Anthony Scaramucci to permanently fill which role in Donald Trump's government? Is it Communications Director, Staff Secretary, or Public Liaison Director? And you're going to ask me to read it again because you clearly didn't.
Can I just put first, second, or third choice?
No, you can either put Communications Director, Staff Secretary, or Public Liaison Director.
How am I supposed to know this?
You can just put the abbreviations if you want. Next. The UK is set to be hit by the first storm of the season. How has the Met Office named it? Is it Anthony with an H, Alistair, or Eileen with an A? Next question. Which US film director will return to direct Star Wars episode whatever it is? Is that 4? Can't show you the answers. Is that 4? No good with Roman.
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 4. So which US film director will return to direct Star Wars Episode 4 after directing 2015's The Force Awakens? Is it J.J. Abrams, George Lucas, or Harrison Ford?
I knew the answer about the choices. I was hoping there was none.
You hope. Next one. Which company has gathered that its stores, or has announced, which company has announced that its stores will be renamed town squares as they believe they are gathering spaces or places?
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, which company has announced that its stores will be renamed town squares as they believe they are gathering places? many we've got left? 3 more left. So, which former British politician suggested he toyed with the idea of a British Football League as a way of bringing the UK together? Was it Ken Clarke, John Major, or Tony Blair, the war criminal? Allegedly.
You'll have to cut that bit out.
I'll ask the question again.
You're just going to cut the bits out, like,
Where
we're
we're
all scribbling down
I mean,
answers.
it's going to be a long episode.
Yeah, just cut out to the answers.
No, okay.
That's right, we've got to be. I'll read that question again now, so we'll do it again. So, which former British politician suggested he toyed with the idea of a British Football League as a way of bringing the UK together? Was it Ken Clarke, John Major, or Tony Blair? Gonna write an answer down for the camera.
I've wrote an answer down, yeah.
Superb. Yeah, but it's not going to work, is it? If I re-ask the question, you don't write anything.
Yeah, sure.
Right, I'll do it again. Right. Which former British politician suggested he toyed with the idea of a British Football League as a way of bringing the UK together? Was it Ken Clarke, John Major, or Tony Blair? Kev looks like he knows his politicians. Second from last, which footballer received the higher player rating in the FIFA 18 version of the video game?
I gave you an answer yet.
I haven't even given you a choice between 2 players yet, mate. It's not Alan Shearer. Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi? Quite interesting after the little talk we've had tonight.
Messi's still better.
You are fake news, sir. And finally, last question. Patty Jenkins will return to direct the second instalment of which superhero franchise? It's not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James. Dylan's definitely watched the first one of these.
I'll just put a random superhero down.
Nicky Devlin doesn't count.
Was that Richard Tawandry?
Go on, James.
Fake news. Right, switch papers round. Let's quickly go through the markings.
There's mine. There and there.
Fucking hell, James.
Have we all got each of us, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we'll start from the top. I'll read through the questions quickly just for the viewers' delight. Or nightmares. Right, first question. Which championship club parted with Harry Redknapp? It was Birmingham City. The result of the boxing match between Gennady Golovkin and Saul Alvarez was a draw. Chris Gale and Evan Lewis were part of the West Indies team that lost against England. Or that England lost to, actually. Sorry. Because we're not good at everything. Saracens beat Newcastle Falcons in the second Aviva Premiership Rugby Union game to be staged in the USA. Capri the horse that was ridden by Ryan Moore won the horse race that is billed as the St Leger. Footballers from the country of Denmark offered to pay the female counterpart's salaries following a pay dispute. Anna Carrasco has become the first female to win a world championship race in the sport of motorbiking. Or motorbikes, as the answer is here.
Okay, one of James's answers fuck knows.
Well, at least he's honest. And Lewis Hamilton won the Singapore Grand Prix. So that's that bit. The person that has a very particular set of skills, born in Ballymena, that's announced he's retiring from making action movies, is Liam Neeson. Someone got that wrong. Or who's laughing here?
You got it right.
Okay.
Surprised.
Superb. Hope Hicks replaced Anthony Scaramucci to permanently fill the role of communications director in Donald Trump's government. The UK is set to be hit by the first storm of the season, and the Met Office have called it Eileen. US film director, and I don't know what you put here, Ken. I think I saw your answer, but I'm not sure. US film director that's returning to direct Star Wars Episode 4 after directing 2015's The Force Awakens is... What did you put?
I put George Lucas.
It's actually J.J. Abrams.
Never heard of him.
Does it count if just Abrahams is there?
I'll give you that.
Is George Lucas dead?
I think so.
Unconfirmed. I'm not verifying anything. Not sure. We'll check for you in a second. The company that has announced its stores are going to be renamed as Town Squares because they believe they are gathering places is Apple. Tony Blair was the British politician. What?
The co-op.
To be fair, I can understand why he's put it. They are gathering places. So yeah, Tony Blair is the British politician, former British politician that suggested he toyed with the idea of a British Football League to bring the UK together.
Tony Blair.
Right. FIFA 18, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi. Cristiano Ronaldo got the higher rating. What?
For the last question, you put Hulk, aka Matt Preston.
For the superhero one, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, so Patty Jenkins will return to direct the second instalment of which superhero franchise? It's not the Hulk.
Is it Matt Preston?
What did Dylan
Suicide
put?
Squad.
No. And then what did...
I put Superman, I think.
Well, you're wrong, because it was Wonder Woman. Right, so as a bit of a bonus round, we've all got a battered Mars bar. I'm not in the competition, so I'm just going to eat mine slowly. Battered Mars bar each, freshly cooked. You're going to have to eat it as quick as you can. The whole lot's got to go, and you've got to show me proof that it's gone as well. So please make sure it's in your mouth. 5 points for first, 3 points for second, and 1 point for last. So your battered Mars bar will look like that. Splendid. Beautiful.
Are we allowed to drink?
No.
Eating it.
No drinking.
It just
Come
smells.
on, Kev, that's not the worst thing you've ever smelled, surely. So yeah, no drinking. You've got to eat the lot without a drink. You can drink at the end. So put it back on your plates, whatever you want to call them. I'll count you down from 3. When I say I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, go, and then go. Yeah. So on the deck, hands down by your sides. Well, no cheating, and you. Ready? Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
That's actually quite nice.
Oh man.
Shall we drink?
No. He's got the lid off his bottle already.
James is fucking at it.
Not yet, he ain't. He's still chewing. He's got it hanging out of his mouth. Well, just in case he's still chewing. Right, James wins 5 points.
Fucking hell.
You can have a drink, James. Dylan, second, 3 points. You can have a drink now if it's all gone. He's got a bit hanging out of his chin.
That's actually really nice.
Right, Kev, still chewing, but last 1 point when you finished, have a drink. Superb, nice view. Cheers, lads. Right, so this week then, final scores: James 14, Dylan 13, Kev 8. So that leaves the overall standings after 3 weeks. Kev 2, James 1, Dylan 0. Dylan, you got 7 weeks. Right, so the results this week then on the Sadler Showdown: James 14, Dylan 13, Kev 8. So it's the overall standings after the 3rd week at Kev 2, James 1, Dylan 0. Dylan, you're rock bottom, you suck, it seems. You're on 0, so you're dead last. If we are doing the mascot punishment, if we're allowed to, then anybody in particular that you want to be walking out with, and bear in mind, it's not going to be your choice if we go ahead with it, but if you could pick, who would you pick?
I reckon it'd just be hilarious to do Ostummer. I'm going to be twice the size of him. So, if I had the choice, I'd still choose Ostummer because it'd be funny.
Somehow. Well, I don't know, that could be a good one, but I think we might be able to rig it a little bit to get you with your favourite player. James, how do you feel? You're not dead last anymore, you're off the board, so you're kind of in the middle at the minute, kind of where you like to be, I think.
At least I'm not walking out with bloody Ostuma.
So
You don't
far.
know yet.
To be honest, going off conversations that we've had, mate, I'm either going to suggest that people put you with Ostuma just for the height difference, or the main man, Liam Roberts, that you enjoy watching. Kev, you're still in front, looking good at the minute.
I've had a stinker this week.
You have.
I'll dust myself down and then I'll go again.
You're older than these guys, and you've got less general knowledge, it seems. So, I don't know. Could be some interesting challenges coming up as well. Right, so now we come to questions from the people on Twitter. So,
And Facebook.
Okay, on Facebook, calm down. So we've got a few to go through, so we could be here for a while, but I'll ask them all anyway. So the first one is off Linda Evans on Twitter, whose handle is @netballer5263. I'll take the commission for your new followers tomorrow. Question was, or statement and question was, love your weekly reports and fan cams. A question for you all, what music do you think the players should come out to and why? So James, start us off.
Hello, Darkest, my old friend.
Because
it's depressing when we watch us.
fair enough. Enough said on that one. Dylan, what we're going to run out to if you're in charge of the jukebox?
Sean Kingston, Beautiful Girl, but the part where it says suicidal.
Strong words. Kev?
Keen, the lovers are losing. Because we're in love with Walsall and we're fucking losing at the minute. It's about as good as it gets.
It's better than what I can come up with. I can't even think of anything. Let me think. How about a bit of Sean Paul? Get busy. Especially for Rotherham away, mate. I know that ain't an but that's what they should have had in the dressing room. Actually move and do some work, I reckon. So, I'm not sure any of those would go down particularly well at Besca for atmosphere. Get busy, mate. A bit of reggae in the building, but...
Get a bit of Meeker on the go.
Yeah, lollipop. No, so Linda, good question. I don't think any of our answers make any sense, so apologies. But if you want to tweet us back and let us know what you think, then you can. So that is that one. Let's move on to the rest. Right, so Robert Dern on Twitter, @Robert_Dern, DEARN, has sent a question in which says, can you pick a starting 11 using players from the last 10 years? So rather than ask everybody for 11, I think we should just have a chat between ourselves and pick a team that we agree on.